don't you wish everything worked out as planned? The last video on this 79 F250 was all about getting the motor and the trans position all finalized and dialed in. Well, turns out I was wrong on that. Sometimes it happens. This video, we're going to talk about the front suspension and the steering, and particularly how they interplay with the positioning of the motor. What we found was our home was not quite good enough to make clearance to everything, so I'll show you some of the details, so hopefully you don't run into these same problems. Maybe you can learn from my little mistake here. We've got everything solved, so it's all good now, and that's kind of the way these things go. But hey, these trucks are a little tough, and when not many people have done them, it's hard to find the information out there. So by making this video, hopefully you guys won't run into these same problems, or at least you know what you're coming into as you're moving forward. So I'm going to grab the camera, we'll get close under hood so we can see all this stuff, and we'll go from there showing you motor install of a Godzilla in an F250 from 1979. Down here in front is probably the best view to talk about the issues we faced here. So let's step back a minute. The engine went in a few months ago. We got the position all set. We moved on to trans tunnel and TK, so that all kind of went fine. We solved that stuff in the last video. We came back and we started to work on the suspension. Now this truck has got a brand new front and rear axle. We went with the SuperDuty front, the Dana Super 60 out of a 2008 and up truck. The Super 60 is a great axle. It's really strong, so we have much better strength compared to the old Dana 44 that was in there, bigger shafts, bigger bearings, bigger U-joints, everything. It also has coil springs, so we switched this truck from a leaf spring to a coil spring front suspension. That's a really nice improvement in ride. Also makes the truck handle better. We have much better turning radius with the new steering. So all in all, a really great axle conversion, and we like to do this on most of these Denside Ford trucks we build. Now when you do that, you move to a different steering box. The original steering box was on the frame rail here. It basically sat far forward and it had the pitman arm coming out the back. Now the new box that goes with the late model axle sits further back and has the pitman arm coming out the front. When we mounted the motor, we didn't have the new box in hand yet, so we just stuck with the old box. And then when we went and made the switch, we found that the box sliding about 3 inches back caused a problem. And what happened was the box interfered with the power steering pump, which is right down there. Now let's take a step back. Why run the power steering pump there? If you guys know Godzilla parts, you'll know there's like a Holley accessory drive, there's a CVS accessory drive. Both of those pull both the AC compressor and the power steering pump up high and out of the way. Well, those are nice. They're really intended to package like in tight confines like on a car. And they work fine in a truck. There's a downside though, and that is you can't run this big mechanical fan. The customer we're building this truck for was really important to him that we run the mechanical fan because he's going to tow with this truck. And I'm a big believer when you're doing hardcore towing or you live in the mountains like we do and you're going to be at high altitudes, these big mechanical fans pull a lot more than an electric fan at a low speed. So to keep this mechanical fan, we essentially have to run the Ford accessory drive. The aftermarket accessory drives all plan on electric fans. They don't have provisions to mount a mechanical fan. So running this Ford fan locks us into the Ford accessory drive, which means power steering pump is low, which means alternator is up top there, and AC compressor is going to be down low on the passenger side. So it sort of drives a few more downstream decisions. So back to the problem. When we put this new steering box on, it moves it back. The body of the box hit the pump. So we kind of scratched our heads and looked at it a little bit. We talked about should maybe we go to electric fans, decided we didn't want to do that. So the quick solution really was to just push the engine straight back. Now thankfully we had the room for that. The firewall had clearance, the tunnel had trans clearance. Our trans and T-case issues didn't really change by moving back. So it pushed the engine back about I think it was 1.25 inches to get this extra clearance to this box. I'll zoom in so you can see everything. It's pretty tight, but it's all going to clear and it's all going to work, and it gives us the solution we need. All right, here's the top view, and you can see that pump and idler pulley are kind of right lined up with the input shaft on the steering box. So as I said, everything's tight there, but it's all clearing. It's not a bad setup. We've got room for hoses, room for belts, room for steering shaft, but not a lot of extra room by any means. That is kind of what we think is going to be okay for this build. I'll just slide back here, and it's a little bit hard to see, but there's the cylinder head and the intake manifold to the firewall. Still got pretty good clearance. I've got some wiring harness laying back there right now, so you can see it's easily 1 inch between the back of the head and the firewall at the moment. So that's where these two kind of play together. Let me move around underneath and we'll take a look at the track bar and box location. Here's a quick view under the fender. So you can see we've got the large coil spring on the right with the fabricated bucket. That's bolted and welded to the frame rail to locate that new, that's basically a modern SuperDuty coil spring. In the center there, that is the track bar bracket. So the kit came with one that was sort of designed to work with the original factory cross member. Kind of went up and grabbed that. We couldn't make that work, and we decided to just build our own. Also pulled the track bar mounting location up a little bit to give better angles and kind of parallelism with the drag link. In the front here, this is a reinforcement plate. So the steering box holes, originally it was a little farther forward for the stock box. Now with the new late model box, we've got this plate and the kind of rearward box location, and it's all again bolted through the frame to grab the box and welded all the way around to stiffen everything up nicely. So that's kind of how this whole driver side front corner comes together with this setup. This is about the best view I can get of the front. So that power steering pulley actually looks like it's touching the bar, but it's not. There's about a 1/2 inch of clearance there. You can see crank pulley is same. It looks like it's almost sitting right on top of it, but it's not. And that is our Sandon SD7 mini compressor with our tight mount that we have there. And that gives us a lot of clearance to the frame rail. So as I was saying earlier, if you're gonna put one of these motors in one of these trucks, I don't see any way around cutting out that factory crossmember. It used to run similar to where that round tube is, except it was about 4 inches tall. So it was way up into the crank pulley. So if you think you can make that work, you're gonna have an engine that sits really high, and maybe if you like hood scoops, that's cool, but certainly not what we were going for on this build. And here's the down low view that shows kind of the bottom of the frame, track bar mount, track bar, steering linkage, etc. So kind of see how all this works together. Again, all this really has not a lot of room to wiggle, in my opinion. This whole setup is tough to package with the Godzilla, but definitely worthwhile to get the improved axle, the improved suspension and steering. And as I said, keep that mechanical fan and the heavy duty cooling capacity that comes with it. That wraps up this video. Next one is going to be about plumbing and wiring. We've got to basically lay in the whole wire harness for this truck, and we've got a new harness we've been developing that is pretty cool. It's all new, all custom designed for us. It's got solid state circuit controls and a lot of cool features inside of it that I'll go through. We'll show you how we put that in, where we route it, and then also we're going to get into some plumbing side of things. We've got the fuel tank is ready to go in. It's a nice stainless new tank. We're going to be using a high pressure pump assembly with a PWM control system. So the whole thing basically comes down to one single line coming up the frame rail, really clean and nice setup. So we'll get into all that stuff, a lot more of the kind of nuts and bolts of how these things go together and what, supports turning the engine on, making it run, and also making it really reliable and nice for the owners. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments. Again, if you want to see more about this truck, please hit the subscribe button. You'll get a notification when the next video drops. Should be probably about a month from now. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.